Hello everybody, John here, and today onto the garage we've got another really quick secrets of the XK8. And for this one we're rounding the boot again, which we seem to spend a lot of time in at the moment on our secret sessions. And I'd like to thank Neville for the inspiration for this one, and also take the opportunity to apologise to Neville for reasonably recently calling him by the wrong name. So Neville, not Nigel, asked a really good question, which fortunately I was able to answer, and it sort of prompted this secret of the XK8. And it is quite a odd one, I must admit. So if we look down here, we've got a bolt standing up, and it's quite a large bolt with a Torx head. And if I change the angle, I'm going to take the boot floor out for you. So I'm just going to whip one of my battery bolts out for you. And these are long bolts, go through the bracket above the battery, straight into captive threaded holes in the floor. There we go. Bing. So, seems to serve no purpose. It's a blind bolt. It has no thread most of its length. Has a very short threaded length. I'll take it back out for you in a second so you can see. And it doesn't look like it could clamp anything. And everybody's sort of concerned with what's missing, what could be there, is an accessory point, etc, etc. It's a lot simpler than that, and a lot more important. This bolt is purely there to stop you using your battery to bump into this joint here, the silver joint in the background, which is the aerial for your remote, your key fob for opening the car. Now, if you're used to lifting these batteries out of these cars, you'll know how heavy they are. And at the angle I'm at the moment, reaching over, I've got to come over a long way to grab hold of it. And as you lift it, you tend to pull the battery this way. And it is properly heavy, and it's got momentum, and it's going to bash that wire and that connection. And if it touches those, you'll break it, and that's the end of your remote control aerial. So that post is purely there as a bollard. It stops the battery coming into contact with that delicate connection that's in the corner. And that gives you a slightly better view of, that is the aerial, and that is the little ferrule that tightens it into the security module, and a bash from the battery will destroy it. So it's just a bollard, a post, to prevent you impacting that. So here's the bolt. You see, it's not just that the thread doesn't come up very far, it is shouldered. So it's literally meant to stay that far above, and that's its only purpose. Now, my car, being a very early one, has still got this rather more expensive earth lead on, which is solid at this end. So actually, if I try and slide my battery backwards with it connected, it isn't going anywhere. But for most of us, you know, this is a braided cable and it will flex. So loosening the battery off, slide it around, you can bash now into the aerial. If you remove the clamps and lift it out, if you imagine how far I'm reaching over here, this is a very heavy battery. Unless you're really, really strong, then as you reach this way, you're going to pull like that. And you tend to bump the top of this as you come out. or you put your boot floor in and you try desperately to do it that way, but you're doing it all at arm's length. So just a top tip, guys, the safest way to remove the batteries in these is like follows. Put your boot floor back like that. Oops. I'll put it in the high position. Put a wing protector over this wing. Just use my blanket for this demonstration. And then, because it's now directly below you, it's still a heavy lift, be careful of your back, but you can now go straight up and plonk it down onto the boot floor. And once it's on the boot floor, you can come round to the back of the car, slide it in the back and out. And it's the same with popping it back in. Just put it in the boot, slide it into position, and then come around the side of the car and lower it down, rather than trying to reach, you know, the 3/4 of a metre or so that you'll have to come from the back. So yeah, secret of the XK8, the mystery bolt that everybody seems to have, but nobody has anything bolted to it, isn't a bolt at all, it's a bollard. Now another question I know will come as a result of this is, but John, there's 2 threaded holes, look like the same thing down there, not just the one. You can tell by this piece of design, it was obviously a late addition to the car. Mine's a very early car, so you can guarantee every car's got one. But it's a late addition because you'd redesign your way around this, not have another piece of welding to do in terms of captive nuts and another component. But I think what probably happened is the original design intent is 2 bollards, and then the reality of using the vehicles, building them on the line, they realised that one was more than adequate, the other one was completely superfluous. I don't know that, I'm assuming that, but yeah, there are 2 holes symmetrically spaced that do look like originally they thought they were going to fit 2 bollards. There we go.